I think AMC just upped their prices though in 2024. $30.
TV shows and movies today with these high-def cameras, there's just something off about them.
Imagine going to the movie theater and seeing this.
Okay, so I don't know about you, but there have been so many different activities that have gotten so out of control over the recent years to the point where it's really not worth it anymore. Going to concerts, the ticket price, any of the merch involved on top of it, and I mean just parking at the venue could be an extra 25 or 40 bucks. Sporting events in general and everything that entails, I mean, the average price per ticket for the Super Bowl was like $8,000. So you could either get a used Honda Fit or go watch one football game. But today we're going to be talking about the movie theaters and movies in general because I used to love watching them. Honestly, much more than a TV show. Most of the time the story began and ended in 2 hours. You didn't have to watch season after season and sink so many hours into just one single show. You could go to the theater and see it on the big screen, something you wouldn't be able to do at home, obviously. And I thought it was a really good form of entertainment. But now in 2025, it's $20 a ticket to start, let alone increase prices for better seats in each one of the theaters. You could add on any of the concessions. I mean, how expensive it is for popcorn when you know it is unbelievably cheap for them to buy wholesale. And the movies that are coming out today are just not great. It feels like it's just for profit and getting people into seats. They don't care if it gets a bad rating by everybody as long as it still makes money. And they'll just shove another Marvel movie into everybody's faces and they'll make millions. So we have a number of clips to go over today along with some of your comments from previous videos. So if you want to be featured on a future video, leave it in the comments below, but we're going to start off with the prices today.
I say everything I'm about to say as a movie lover, a movie theater lover. In the past couple years, as far as prices of everything, like we've lost the plot. We lost the plot a long time ago, especially with movie tickets when they've been like $20. And I live in New York City, so that's really expensive. Like $20 movie ticket, maybe 22 if you're going at night. It's been bad. Like we've been in the trenches. I think AMC just upped their prices though in 2024. $30. Oh, you're a child? It'll be cheaper, right? 26 senior discount. Oh, 27. I'm sorry. This was for Mean Girls at like 6:30 p.m. Nothing will ever be worth that much. $13 for one movie ticket. Why are we not rioting in the streets?
I would like to add, because she didn't say, would you like to add a combo? A large popcorn and large drink is $18. Do you know how cheap it is for movie theaters to get Coca-Cola and popcorn kernels? And it costs $20 on top of the $30 ticket? And she's talking about AMC right now, but this is almost any movie theater chain. But my theory is that they want everybody to be on a subscription service because that's what every company on the planet wants now. Before I ended up moving to North Carolina, I would go to the movies with my friends every single week, and we all had the AMC pass that I believe was about $25 a month. And I think you were able to watch 2 movies a week. We only ended up doing 1, and we just went every single week. Now, a majority of those weeks were pretty bad movies because our rule was even if nothing great came out, we still had to go, which adds into a little bit later in the video where there's just a lot of slop movies coming out. But it was cheaper to have the pass, the subscription service, than buying an individual movie. And now every company on the planet wants recurring payments from everybody. And I think these companies making the tickets so unbelievably expensive tries to push everybody to the service. Then you don't go to the movies often, you're not paying attention, you just start racking up the $25 recurring charge, and in turn they'd actually make more money off of you when you're not even going. And this is definitely not just a US thing. We have a comment from my cost of living crisis video. Be thankful you aren't in Sydney. $25 a movie after spending $20 for a meal at McDonald's. $80 for 5 items at Woolies. Don't know what that is, probably a convenience store. But the main takeaway is this isn't just a US problem. This is happening all over the world now. But one of the upsides, of course, going to a movie theater is the giant screen, maybe an IMAX screen, super great resolution. And you know, they must have a really high quality copy of the movie. And then you start seeing clips like this.
Imagine going to the movie theater and seeing this.
On an old app? Are you kidding me? That's, oh man.
Pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. All right, they're pulling up Amazon Prime. Now watch this. This is the best part. They figure it out. And wait for it. Okay, yeah.
They already started it. They gotta watch it from the beginning.
Here we go. Too many videos playing at the same time. This is truly nuts. Because I go to all these things. We're gonna go see National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. My friends are gonna go see Elf. Are they just playing it off of Netflix? Because it looks like theaters are trying to double dip in you're not watching an original print. You're not even watching a print. You're just watching some dude. You go to a movie theater, you might even see me doing this. That's what I mean, honestly, at this point, that's a great plan for a 1 or 2 plex. But once you're getting into like an 8 theater multiplex, you can't be playing 8 versions of The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. So, little theater owners, why don't you steal that trick? Big theater owners, you got to be careful. You got to, get your uncle's password, get your aunt's password. You got to be running multiple accounts on this.
But even if they do have the top tier version of Netflix, which is what, $25, $30 a month? Basically 1 or 2 tickets of that completely pays for the monthly service. So then they can max out the amount of accounts and the amount of theaters that are just watching Netflix movies or Amazon Prime movies, whatever it was. And I guess they could just start collecting checks, but we could see some of the comments here. We went to see Goonies a few years ago. They pulled up a DVD menu on the screen and then played the full screen version. Never again. My brother worked at a small family-owned movie theater, and this is what they did. Wouldn't it play ads too? Hopefully they'd get the highest tier version of these streaming services, so you didn't have to run through the ads while paying $20, $30 a ticket. And we have another comment from you guys. It was $38 for 2 tickets to the movies last week. Just the tickets. It's not that I can't afford it, it just takes all the fun out of going. The last movie that I watched in the theaters was, I think the last 2 movies that I watched in the theaters. One was Godzilla Minus One, and then the new Godzilla King Kong movie. That was not great, honestly, as a Godzilla fan. And basically, the only reason why I went to the movie theater is because I am a fan of Godzilla. So, I mean, I guess that's what they do play on. If you're a huge Marvel or DC fan, they just start pumping out those movies, and people will go, even if the movie sucks. But we'll get into all of the flops we've seen recently. I think one of the biggest ones that you might have heard of, you might have not, because of how this movie either didn't market well or nobody cared about it, because Robbie Williams' CGI monkey biopic Better Man underperforms at the box office. The movie has made $4.3 million against a $110 million budget. This was supposed to be a huge blockbuster for American viewers, apparently, but nobody went to go see this movie. Nobody even knew about it. I thought it was a trailer for some weird Planet of the Apes spinoff. That's what I thought initially. Then I found out about Robbie Williams, which I guess is some sort of British celebrity. I don't know why he was marketed towards an American audience so much when most of us don't know who he was. I don't know who he is either. Now there's tons of comments just going like, who is Robbie Williams? Even though I guess he's a big figure in the UK. I'm not really sure, but we could get into more of the details and the numbers.
Better Man is looking like it's going to be the biggest flop in several years. With a $110 million budget, this film has only grossed a meager $110,000 at the U.S. domestic box office. Now, it is playing in limited release right now at 6 theaters. However, its per theater average is only $1,200. So $1,200 per theater in the 6 theaters it's been released in the past 2 weeks. Now, to put that into perspective, if a film comes out on limited release, you want to have a theater average of around $30K. That shows promise. That shows that when it goes wide, it can make a lot of money and it'll make more theaters want to open it. Unfortunately, it's nowhere near that. To put into perspective, Anora, one of the biggest independent releases this year, when it was released in 6 theaters for its first weekend, it had a per theater average of $90,000. Compare that to Better Man's $1,200. Better Man does not look like it's going to even crack the top 10 when it goes wide to 2,000 theaters next week.
Honestly, I feel like most of the movies that are coming out, especially with the crazy budgets, $100+ million, have absolutely no soul. It's just a for-profit business. They try to cast the widest net to appeal to as many people so they could get the $20 a ticket and start raking in a ton of money. But over the past few years, especially since movie theaters have opened up again after COVID, I don't know. I feel like there have just been so many flops. That also includes TV shows, but we could take a look at some of the comments. Money laundering at its finest. Something we can't really get away from on this channel. We've encountered people claiming money laundering quite a bit. I have seen that there are a good amount of people angry at Americans that we just don't know who this is and we don't really care. It's not for you guys, it's for the rest of the world. This movie needs $300 million to be successful. It needs the US and Canada. It makes sense the amount of movies and TV shows we consume. We're probably making these companies a majority of the money, but there's another one, who is Robbie Williams. But there is a little bit of a theory going around why movies just aren't the same.
Okay, so I don't know if I'm alone in this, so tell me if I'm wrong, but TV shows and movies today with these high-def cameras, there's just something off about them. Like, we are at the 4K pinnacle of clarity when it comes to the new projects that are coming out. But it's almost too clear. Like, the shot on the right looks fake to me. Like, there's a reason why the Christopher Nolans of the world are doing what they're doing and getting such high praise, because there's still like a grittiness to their films. It's so crystal clear and such high quality that it actually makes it lower quality in my mind. Like, does that make sense? Like, for whatever the reason in my brain, when I see that, I'm like, this isn't going to be good. I'm trying to think of another example, but this like side by side is a perfect illustration of like where we've come. So I don't know if it's just me. I don't know if it's that we're in the streaming age and this is just like the standard. There's something off about this, no? What do you guys think?
Okay, so there's a couple things I wanted to talk about. I do agree with how high quality cameras are, even the one that I'm talking to you through right now. Clearly not an insane cinema camera that's tens of thousands of dollars, but it does record in 4K. And when I'm editing these videos and looking at myself, it's a little uncomfortable how detailed my face is just in a YouTube video. So imagine that upped even more when they have the best filming equipment possible. It just starts looking a little off, like it's too real. I don't really know how to explain it. But the other thing, Adam Sandler returns for Happy Gilmore 2. Adding on to it just being for profit, so many movie ideas that are coming out that are flops. Many of these producers are just going back to what worked 15, 20, 25 years ago and making a sequel or remaking the exact same movie because they know the fans of the original will just come back and pay $20 or $30 or $50 or $60 if they want a Coke and some popcorn and watch most likely an inferior movie to what came out previously. And after a while, at least for me, somebody who's watched a ton of different movies, it just gets really exhausting. But we could look at some of the comments from this clip. Soap opera effect. I've been noticing it since motion smoothing. Everything looks like a set. There's another issue with a whole bunch of TVs recently doing the exact same, adding in frames. Normally when movies have 24 frames a second, it makes it blurry or smoother, but ends up just making the whole video look worse. The lack of clarity adds to the mystique of the actors, lack of natural light, and I know at the end of the day it makes me seem like an old person, but there's a sentiment going around that nothing really seems the same anymore. You could argue that many of us are growing up and becoming actual adults, so when you're a kid everything seems so much more fun because you don't have any responsibilities, you don't have any stress really. There have been a lot of clips that are popping up like this in general that just adds on to the issues with the movie industry.
You guys, nothing is the same anymore. Everything is different. Family is no longer the same. Family has become colder, meaner, more distant. Holidays and traditions have changed. Black Friday isn't the same anymore. Back in the day, people used to run and fight trying to get the items they were getting. Now you can barely find yourself a deal. Thanksgiving doesn't feel the same. Christmas doesn't feel the same. Church feels semi-different. It used to be warm and you were connected with a lot of people, and now it's about mega churches and coffee and big smoke screens during worship. Cartoons have changed, y'all. You used to have shows like Tom and Jerry, Looney Tunes, Bugs Bunny. I grew up with shows like Ed, Edd n Eddy, Kids Next Door, Jimmy Neutron. And now you have a bunch of just super colorful, hyper animated, no plot, weird cartoons that really make no sense whatsoever. Video games have changed. You don't feel the passion in these new games anymore like you used to. You had legendary games like Halo where you literally felt the blood, sweat, tears, and time that they took to make that game. Now it's about DLC, half making it, and trying to get as much money as possible. There's no passion anymore. Food has changed, the quality tastes funny, music's changed, the lyrics suck. I want to go back.
You could add the exact same argument into the movies. Now we could look at some of the comments and put our tinfoil hat on because I have seen some crazy conspiracy theories. Kids are not the same anymore. They're overly exposed to everything, which I agree with, but let's be real. The world ended in 2020, literally. I've seen some crazy stuff online that when the pandemic happened, we're basically in the show Lost right now. If you didn't watch the show, it was about an airplane crashing into an island and a whole bunch of the people who did survive the crash having to survive all of the other problems on the island and hopefully getting off. And in the end, they were actually all in limbo. They all died on the airplane. So I'm obviously not saying that it's real, but I do think it is a fun conspiracy theory to think about because some of it does make sense. Nothing really feels that great anymore. And a lot of it seems to be getting much worse since 2020. But that's all I got for you guys today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. YouTube thinks you'll like this video popping up on screen right now, but hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like and I'll talk to you guys later.